I'm just realizing how stupid my notes are. It says, love the model. What kind of spider? Wow. Those are the things. Why would, yeah.
What kind of spider is it? Wait, did they just have like a tarantula running loose in their attic?
I mean, are you looking at the same slide as I am?
That's a tarantula, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant, what are you talking about, spider?
Tarantula is a spider?
Love, I just meant, I thought you didn't know of a spider at all.
Of course I know of the spider.
Okay.
I know it's a giant spider, and he's like, "Who is this little guy? What are you doing in my little church?"
Right, not like,
churchy worch. Yeah, no.
That's his house. It's not his church.
That's not a church?
That's his house.
My mistake. Yeah, my notes are just like, wait, what? What? Wait, so Beetlejuice can do, wait. And now they're, what?
Okay.
I watched this movie twice this week. Once, make our notes in like real time, and then I watch again to make an outline. So the first time I'm confused, and the second time
you're pissed.
I'm tracking, and I'm like tracking the plot beats and like, oh, okay, so because of this, then this happens, and then because of that, this happens, and now they want to do this. Okay, but literally 25 seconds later, they change their mind. They don't want to do that. There's a lot of ping-ponging in this movie is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do you remember when we were watching Finding Nemo all the time?
Yeah, and I know the answer to that would be yes.
Mm-hmm. And you pointed out there is a lot of like resetting of Dory and Marlin. They like each other, but now they don't. Now he's going to leave her behind, and then she finds him again, and they just do that over and over and over again throughout the movie.
Right. It's just like with the Buzz Lightyear. They didn't know what to do with him if he wasn't like a fish out of water, so they just kept finding ways in each movie to make him reset.
All right, we open. We're swooping over a town. What a town this is. What a real town this is. Or is it?
If they've got a real spider problem, if it is.
It's a model town.
It is.
This is a very impressive model. Your note was right. It's a good model.
Thank you.
Did we talk the last time about the discrepancy in the title of the movie and the title on screen versus the title on the poster and then the name of the character?
I always noticed that it said Beetlejuice or something in the. I don't think we talked about it. No, it's just I was like, okay, maybe it's so obvious that we don't need to, but I have no fucking clue.
All right. Well, first of all, yeah, the movie is, its official title is Beetlejuice, one word.
One word.
But in the opening credits, it's Beetle Space Juice.
Right.
And that like suggests, hey, you audience, what you're going to watch is a bunch of Beetlejuice. And Michael Keaton as Beetle Space Juice. But then on the poster, it's Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
And in the movie, his name is spelled out on screen over and over again. And it's always spelled Beetlejuice like the star, Betelgeuse.
I'll bet they just did the principal photography. That's a term I recently learned. And realized that spelling would be atrocious. Just for marketing reasons, people if they can't even say the word.
Yeah, that's plausible. I was wondering, it's either that or they don't care, or the point is you're supposed to be what is going on in this world. You don't understand.
Okay, so I can buy that these happened for marketing reasons and they happened in stages, because I would assume the shooting of the movie would happen and then the credits would be done and then the marketing, such as the logo and the movie poster. So, well, even the logo might be while the credits are happening as well, actually. So it would make sense that the third correction is that they just take out the space, and that's why the movie poster is different again.
Mm-hmm.
Not for chaos, but like for simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's for SEO because that'd be smart, but that wouldn't have been a thing, at least not then.
Do these things bother you? I'm not saying this makes it a bad movie, but do these things bother you in general?
I always notice the blinking sign in the graveyard being wrong, and I just assumed it was because it was meant to be strange, meant to be old. Like he died so long ago that was the spelling of his name, and now in modern day they've adjusted because that's not how anyone speaks anymore. And this is Barbara and Alan's afterlife, not Beetlejuice's. So they updated it to their understanding.
Okay.
I did a lot of mental gymnastics. Ugh. It did not bother me. The spacing does now that you've pointed it out.
It's like the movie Seven, where all the posters say SE7EN.
Mm.
Now, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in the movie itself, it's just the word seven. And that bothers me. But I could totally be wrong, and people are like, you idiot. That's not what.
Again, I think I because we work in marketing and because of all the shit that people will try to just kind of pass off as like, that's always what we've done, like Tolkien and token. No, just I mean, you especially for a property that's existed for a really long time, or for one that took a really long time to make, and just over the course of like when you start a movie and all that goes into it, and then before you know it, you have a better idea, and then other brains get involved, people whose expertise are for a different purpose, not for artistic stuff, but for like making it easier for Joe Blow to understand. I could see them just being like, fuck it, just take the space out. We'll pretend we won't say anything. We don't have the money to go back and correct the credits or any of that, because we've already spent that money. Just move on and just don't even talk about it. People just won't notice. And they really didn't.
The one thing I can't accept is that in the opening credits, it says Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, but in the closing credits, Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's rough.
But, I didn't know Beetlejuice was a star until I was in astronomy. When I was in college, in university, and I had an astronomy lab, and some guy was like talking about stars and mentioned Beetlejuice, and I was like, that's a lame joke he just made. He's calling a star Beetlejuice. Moving on, we meet.
I did just real quick. I did tell you my astronomy story in college, right?
Oh.
Which is that I signed up for it because I really loved astrology.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
And then I got in there, and then I was like, fuck. And
how long did it take to notice?
Immediately. And I didn't know it was a thing to like drop a class. I didn't know you could and not affect your GPA. Didn't know. Well, no guidance.
No.
There was no Beetle guys for me to follow in the sky. You know what I'm saying?
If there were, though, tell me about the Maitlands. What's the deal with these Maitlands? We got Geena Davis is playing Barbara.
They are sweetly, adorably, very much in love. They always hold hands. And even when it's like inconvenient to do so or dangerous to do so.
It's a very chaste love.
How so?
Well, Alec Baldwin even says like, maybe we can try again on this vacation, like to have a baby, to conceive a baby. And it's like the only reason to have sex is to get pregnant.
I don't understand why it's chaste. Oh, because it's not sexual.
Yeah. Well, and they're very, they're squares. And she is dressed. Tell me about her costuming. You're our fashion correspondent. What is the way she dresses? Tell us about her.
All right. What was the year?
88.
Clearly matters that they are in. They even say LL Bean, which LL Bean was cool and in certain parts of it just meant you were in a smaller town probably, but it didn't mean you were a bumpkin. I mean, this is definitely, and they need a huge contrast between her and Delia Deetz. So, I mean, that's a good point. This is just your suburban, like happy but busy house mom, not fashion forward person. This is just a person who wears clothes because you're supposed to during the day.
But it looks very conservative to me. But so I'm wrong. It's not supposed to be.
I guess. I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think there were a ton of other ways to go with it. This is just like your most normie outfit you could wear. We're not supposed to think anything extra about Barbara. She seems correct.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to think the extra things about Delia. So Barbara's our baseline. Delia's our extra.
Yeah. And Lydia is rebelling against her sort of yuppie hipster parents. And it would make sense that she would gravitate toward these people who are just the most corny middle America couple you can be.
Well, and herself be wearing very matronly black dresses and her giant brimmed hat. She's almost pilgrim-esque. Like, even though she's black and that makes her a little edgy, it's very uncool clothing, or at least what I remember. There's nothing like interesting artistically about this clothes
about Lydia,
about what Lydia wears, except for how she does her hair and how much black she wears.
Mm-hmm.
But the pieces individually aren't particularly stylish.
So she's not a cool kid. We're not supposed to think, okay, she's cool and hip.
No, she's alt kid.
Gotcha. All right. Well, they die in a car accident.
They do.
This seems like if I'd seen this as a kid, I would have been really disturbed by the way they die. Were you?
Oh, I would not pass rickety. I did not ever want to go across any bridge that didn't look like it was made of concrete for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I wouldn't watch the movie Bridges of Madison County. Fuck that.
Does something happen with bridges?
No, it's completely about covered bridges.
Oh, okay.
Specifically bridges that look like that. Oh, it completely freaked me out. And fuck that dog. who kills them.
Yeah, that dog
Ugh,
sucks.
just stay on the beam, dog.
Yeah. I car accidents were very upsetting to me as a kid. And it's, it's if you're a kid, this is the most realistic way somebody in your family is going to die.
100%. Anytime my mom did any traveling, or anytime we even traveled together in the car, I would cry and worry the entire time we were going to get in a car wreck.
Me too.
Yeah. And I was taken to a therapist, and I was told I was going through a scary phase. And
Yeah.
I just was an anxious kid. The bottom did drop out. I was just waiting. I guess I knew my family was one real tragedy away from like complete extermination. Like we were always kind of creating little tragedies and dramas in our home. Like if something real happened, hit the button, the red one.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna go nuclear. We're not coming back from this.
Yeah, that would have been the case. And for me, it was my dad was drove an 18-wheeler truck, and
there you go.
Went on overnight trips for his work. Driving a truck for thousands of miles. So I was just always like, he's not coming back from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feel good, everybody.
One of those feel good episodes.
They are dead, and they come back to their house, and something feels amiss. And they find the handbook for the recently deceased, and then they find out they can't leave. What happens if they leave the house?
They go into a Dolly-esque weird yellow sand pit in an abyss that has a sand snake. And when they are in that area, lots of time goes by. The 2 times they go in there, except for the end, thank you, a lot of time passes by. So he's gone for hours when he was only out for like 1 minute whenever Adam goes out the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both go out together, and when they come back in, it's been 3 months.
Yeah, there's some time dilation going on, and that's the function of the script. Is you need to know that that's how time works, because later they do need to jump ahead in time so that the house can get totally transformed.
Right, and we don't have to go through the construction part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it doesn't make sense because Barbara goes to get the sandworm to kill Beetlejuice. So she goes outside for as much time as it takes to tame her dragon, and then comes back in only a few minutes later in the house. So
that's a plot hole, ladies and gentlemen.
A bit of a hole.
In the script, it specified this sandworm is right out of Dune. So if you're thinking, isn't this like Dune? It is.
You know who wasn't thinking that? I've never seen Dune. So
sandworms, they're big thing in Dune. I assume this was a reference to the book more than the movie came out in 1984. The book was 1965. So that's my little fan theory.
Thanks.
They're reading from the handbook for the recently deceased, trying to understand the rules of this world. And you thought it was very notable what Alec Baldwin is reading about the rules. You said you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, I wrote them down. I was trying to track the rules, but I think there might only be 2 that are really spoken out loud. So only the smart can die.
Only the smart can die?
Yeah. How else are you going to understand the freaking book? You've got to be literate. But this is, again, this situation. Manifestation, all of the circumstances seem to depend on the person dying.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, one of them might be who died, not the other. One of them might have survived, because we could just be experiencing Adam's version of heaven or hell, or neither. I mean, like,
the other's just a projection.
Yeah,
wow.
There's no way to know. So like, it's smart because they knew the movie was chaos. It was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's not probably even great explanation for, I mean, more than half of the questions we have. So
yeah, but there's something. I mean, the idea of an afterlife with rules that are so boring and specific, I love it. I know this isn't the first movie or story to do that.
Okay.
The movie Brazil from 1985 did that a lot, which I haven't seen Brazil. That's a big blind spot. But I know that sort of the bureaucracy, the banality of, of an afterlife, or sort of like a post-apocalyptic situation, that's very funny to me.
I could see you becoming just really complacent, because it's like, okay, I could understand more about this. It's kind of how I felt about when the pandemic started, this like suspended animation thing. It's like, well, I have an excuse not to do anything at all. And if I just sit right here, I mean, I'm not anxious, but at least I'm like in good company. I'm having a reason to just be sitting here. I don't have to have more plans. I don't have to overcomplicate this, at least not today. So I could see like, I don't want to read more of the book and know I'm supposed to be doing other shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I could see being like, okay, this is death for at least the next 5 years. We're
And you
doing
have
this.
so much time, you'll get to it eventually. It also makes sense if you have the entire history of humanity to build an afterlife. Of course, the rules are going to get so complicated because you've had to deal with every situation imaginable because you had all of history to do it.
It also begs the question, how fucking hard was it to set up a stereo? Like, why every single person in this movie uses the same reference? It's like stereo instructions. Like,
Stereos were weird. You had
all the little wires in the back.
Yep.
I remember learning how, the red one and the black one works, but it's just like that was
there
the
was
only
even
part.
a time red and black one was like a simplification of an even earlier one. And then of course you just get your standard aux cable. Yeah, these kids today, they don't know how good they have it. We didn't have a Bluetooth speaker. Yeah. We
That's
didn't.
right.
The Dietzes entered the picture. We have Delia, Catherine O'Hara. MVP of the movie, I'd say. Would you agree, Catherine O'Hara?
Absolutely.
Okay. Jeffrey Jones, MVP of the world.
Just ask his child bride or whatever.
Yes. Hey, Google Jeffrey Jones. Lydia, Winona Ryder, and then Otho, Glenn Shadix. What is Otho's relationship to this family? Because he's always there.
More than just being Lydia's graphic design. Let me start that over. Delia's interior designer. He seems to also be a friend, but he's kind of a frenemy. He seems like a leech. He definitely knows lots of stuff, but I think what he really knows is how to make somebody feel like they're not keeping up with the aesthetics of the time. So I think he's probably always hawking his services to this family. This family's clearly rich, and Delia's clearly like needy for acceptance and for being in vogue and beyond. So, he's there initially because he's going to completely redo their entire house. I have no idea why 3 months later he's still there.
Because you said it. He sees Delia and he's like, bingo.
Yeah.
That's my ticket.
I can keep.
You have a need, I can fill it. You need a seance, I can do that.
I can do that. Right. Exactly. And he reads as gay, but then he's married in a very unsatisfying relationship. I just wondered if that was a nod to, it not being as easy to be out at this time, but it seemed like it would have been fine for someone from, fine in general, but then also especially from someone from the art community in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting choice. Was I just reading the stereotypes? And
I think he's playing. That actor always plays, sort of fussy.
It reminds me of me. I don't know. Like,
and we always say about you would be best portrayed by a gay man.
Yes.
Yeah. These two people, Charles and Delia's relationship to each other. What's going on there?
Well, okay. So again, I couldn't tell if that was. I always thought of her as a stepmom, but there were a couple times where Lydia calls her mom, and the dad refers to her as the mom. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But clearly this is a second wife. They don't ever say what happened to the first. I assume death, which is probably what started Lydia's fascination with death and with her goth phase.
The Beetlejuice stage show apparently opens with the funeral of Lydia's mom.
Okay. All right. Their dynamic is he's probably a slight bit older. He's a square. He's probably in finance or something, or real estate or something very boring. She was okay with being a second wife and with taking on a child, and she was looking to socially climb and get her art out there. So she would need funding for that. So I could see their pairing being one of convenience to both of them, and for socially kind of a this is not a nice comparison. Kind of like Jeffrey Epstein and Galen. One had
Ghislaine.
one Galen, whatever.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I think she
You
gives
think
him,
that's what they're like?
she gives him access into a more hip community, and he gives her money.
I mean, yeah, he seems to like, she's super into wanting to appear hip, to belong in the art world. He seems like a kind of a business tyrant, but he alludes to his nerves went out, and that's like he had some sort of nervous breakdown.
Right. So he's looking for peace and quiet.
And he's approaching it like some of these business psychos we have now about like how to optimize your relaxation. It reminded me of Succession when Shiv is scheduling time to grieve And her husband's like, you're scheduling your grief?
But you
Because
oh, go ahead.
he'll like go into a room, he'll sit down in a rocking chair and then like rock really,
Right, like just
really hard. And be, I am
yeah.
so relaxed. I'm so relaxed. Right now.
Oh, I'm gonna look at a bird. Did it. Done. Have you seen Funny Farm? That's another one of my movies.
Nope.
Well, that's another movie of like city folk moving over with the yokels and it being the death of them. And bird watching, issues with the elements, issues with the town, it's all the same stuff, but it's Chevy Chase and it's completely different and awesome. But I'd be interested in revisiting that one.
I'll put it on the ledger.
Please.
He's also just trying to manage her mania. And by mania, I mean she's manic and really into the thing she's into.
Mm-hmm. And then she licks his nose, which is always...
She's so good.
Which is always like... I love it and hate it. Like, but also something I would do. And I think it's just...
Lick a nose?
Just as a weird, funny little thing you only do to the person that is yours. Just like, let me come bite your cheek for no fucking reason. Like, access.
Yep.
A weird reward punishment. Because like now you got a wet nose or a bit cheek. But I mean it as an inconvenience, but also a love token.
It's like when you nice punch.
Okay, it's not exactly that. No. I punch plenty of people.
Sometimes you nice punch. I love that he's reading a magazine called Practical Homeowner.
Well, yeah.
Which does not exist. I looked it up. And
of course.
I love that he opens the magazine and immediately the little subscription card falls out. Remember when that happened, everybody?
Yes. Well, bought plenty of CDs on accident that way.
These people are yuppie snobs.
Eating Cantonese that they can spit stuff out. What are they spitting out?
I don't know, but it's like the joke here is she says, I can't believe we're eating Cantonese and they don't have a Sichuan restaurant. So she's like, the joke here is most Americans only would call it Chinese. And she not only knows different regions of China and their cuisine, but has opinions about like one is beneath her. Cantonese is beneath her and expects the Sticks, the random little village they moved to have a Sichuan restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I think that also there's a thing of like, she creates art for snobs, for rich people. And there's another point where Charles says like, he talks about a talking Marcel Marceau statue. So it's like, he's like, yeah, these are, I think Tim Burton, he judges these people. These people aren't in art for the right reasons.
Right.
I think he thinks of like, these are the suits at Disney or these are the suits at the studios that I have to stomach because they pay the bills.
Okay. They're picking apart the wrong thing.
They just, they don't have a love. They don't have a love for the thing itself. They want it. They love it for what it signifies about them. And they don't have any actual appreciation for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, making a statue that talks out of a mime.
Right. Although I could see that being artsy.
I mean, now that I say statement. It, you're right.
Okay.
Which, yeah, fuck mimes.
Oh. They are inconvenient.
We meet Beetlejuice for the first time via a television commercial. He's condemned to the model at this point.
God, I don't know.
That's where he makes the commercial because he's filming this commercial in the model.
Yeah, but I thought that, wait, haven't they already seen their caseworker, Juno, at this point, the Maitlands?
I don't think so.
Because I thought the first thing they see is an advertisement.
Yeah, they see a piece of
paper
advertisement.
And then they go to Juno and they mention it and she says, do not do that. I think this is the second time that they see him. And the first time we see him, he's reading
a paper.
He meaning Beetlejuice is reading the classifieds to see who has died. Mm-hmm. Who is his next victim going to be? So no, I don't think he was already in the model. That'd be very convenient. I think he has a way of like getting into the lives in some small way, in some kind of convenience way. If they choose to interact with him, they can.
So he sees he's reading the paper. He sees they're dead. So he'll go into their house. But they do have to summon him. They later say his name 3 times, then get sucked into the model. And then they have to dig him out from a grave.
Which is just so fucking bizarre. Why?
That's what I'm saying. So somebody trapped him or did he trap him? This is just.
I wonder if it's not like his process. Like, well, I need to see how desperate they are. I need them to do. It's like if they put in work and it makes them more committed to whatever it is I say because they just put in all this work. So it's like you just did all this work to dig me up. You might as well listen to what I'm saying and not totally dismiss it.
Yeah, that seems a little more, thought out than Beetlejuice seems like he is. A little more
But why
professional. It doesn't make any sense.
I've always wondered, like, well, this is horrible salesmanship, but maybe he's weeding them out too. Not everybody's worth his antics.
The Maitlands,
Them,
Barbara and Adam.
Adam.
They're trying to haunt the house and scare out the Dietzes, but it's not working because they're so up their own butts.
The Dietzes.
Yeah, the Dietzes they don't see the spooky apparitions, but Lydia does.
Oh, that was the rule I wrote down. That not that they can't, but that the living often won't. See
That they won't. They often won't.
No, I think that's a very interesting.
No, I know. It's funny.
It's not funny. I don't think it's funny. I think it's deep.
It's deep and funny.
I think that the living are so fearful of death that they will not acknowledge, even if it's right in front of them, that things can die. She saw them through her camera in the attic. So she went up to the attic to investigate. And then here's rummaging.
They the Dietzes, the Maitlands, then they think we need some professional help. And the handbook says if you need professional help, draw a door. So they do, and it takes them into the office. Or what do you call this whole realm?
Well, Tim Burton said this is supposed to be the DMV of the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
The whole place. The whole thing's supposed to be like a city building. Disorganized, hard to maneuver, find what you need to find, and nobody likes to work there.
A lot of red tape, a lot of random arbitrary rules. Like you have to spend first 125 years on Earth in that house, and then you move on.
To what?
I don't know, but during that time, you only get 3 Class 1 D90 intercessions with Juno. Who's Juno? Your caseworker.
Well, I have a feeling she's annoyed. I always thought she was like needlessly annoyed, but it's like, now that we build websites, right? We make brochures. It's like I did all the work. I made that handbook. We add to it all the time. No one ever bothers to read it. And you're asking questions you should know the answers to. Now I'm going to treat you like a piece of shit.
I answered the questions already. Yeah, it's the paradox of the longer an explanation is you make for somebody, the less likely they're going to read it.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so the afterlife, nightmare of bureaucracy in terms of production design, which was done by Bo Welsh. This is basically straight out of Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and other such German expressionist silent movies that Tim Burton was obsessed with.
And that's what Tim Burton said. This is the other piece I didn't remember. It's supposed to be mixed with it's a DMV done in German and expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he went crazy with the German expressionism in Batman and Batman Returns for Gotham City.
Okay.
Which was his innovation on Gotham City. It had always been like a weird film noir, like simultaneously throwback and futuristic film noir world. And then he tossed in the German expressionism.
Okay.
Art decoration by Tom Duffield, set decoration by Catherine Mann. This movie, it looks great because of the sets and the costumes and everything.
Yes, we're a little out of order. Because, right.
This isn't out of order. This is.
No, I mean that you've already said they tried to scare them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't. They don't think to scare.
No, they did the thing in the closet.
Oh, you're right, with the severed head and stuff.
Yeah, honey, this isn't working out.
Oh, right. Okay, gotcha.
But this is why
you're right.
Why it's annoying, because they keep going like, okay, no, we'll try to scare them. This isn't working. We have to call Beetlejuice. No, we'll try to scare them. No, we'll call Beetlejuice. No, we'll just try to scare them. There's a lot of that. I thought that, I guess we basically get to the point where Lydia finally makes contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I myself am strange and unusual. And that's why she's able to see them.
And she's also faced death with her mom.
That's true.
She
not mentioned, but.
Right. But I mean, that makes sense. If someone's already confronted of it and already kind of had the worst thing possible happen to them, they're less likely to look away.
And then this interaction between Lydia and the Maitlands, where she goes up into the attic with them and talks with them for a little bit. And then she's like, oh, my parents are coming. Gotta go. That's the only scene they have before the end of the movie together.
That can't be.
It is. It's the only, and like, I know the movie's trying to get to a place of found families, as
Yeah.
our kid pointed out, and sort of the purpose of it's not about people having to be like each other. They just have to like each other.
Right.
The Maitlands are the most square people you can be, but they like Lydia
Mm-hmm.
and Lydia likes them, whereas her stepmom is this weird hipster, but she doesn't like her stepmom.
She's not warm.
It would work better if we just invested a little more time in them spending time with each other and showing how much they care about each other. They come back out of the afterlife and they're like, what happened to our house? It's been 3 months. And the house, they first don't realize they're in their house because it looks like they're still in the afterlife.
Because the house has been redecorated
And
to
redecorated
death.
so weird that it's like converged in appearance with the weird afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, they're going to have a dinner party.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, I like that this is like the most old fashioned stock sitcom plot. Like there's ghosts in the house and they're going to cause mischief, but we have impressive people coming over for dinner.
I can't think about this right now. I'm preparing a chicken. Right. Like, just get out of here. The most stressful thing is actually not the afterlife. It is Maxie, who might invest in this property.
Yeah, because Charles is like, instead of relaxing, he's like, "Ooh, I can gentrify this neighborhood and make some money.
Imagine making that neighborhood more white. They're going to
Upscale restaurants and stuff."
Well, they're going to turn it into an amusement park. It's almost like or I guess he doesn't have that idea yet, right? They go full amusement park once they realize there's ghosts. Yeah, I don't exactly understand what he thinks, what potentially sees in this random farm town.
This plot.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, so they got to do something. So they're gonna call on Beetlejuice. They get sucked into the model. They have to dig for Beetlejuice, and they find him. And we finally meet him. And yeah, we meet Michael Keaton. And what's he like?
He is a sex predator, and he makes it clear when he's looking at the classifieds that he thinks Barbara's hot, and that's he wants nothing else but to like get some action. So he's always doing things in front of Adam, but then using his other hand to assault fucking Barbara. And I hate how funny it is.
But Beetlejuice, his antics, they're a little too extreme for these guys. So they decide they're not going to use him. Because Geena Davis says, "I'm not going to expose that little girl down there to that pervert." So.
Well, so maybe they're not extreme. Maybe she can see that he doesn't actually, his intention isn't to help anybody, it's to help himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're not going to help him. They get an idea. We'll haunt them ourselves. We'll do the thing that we've been doing the whole movie, but this time it'll work.
This time there will be shrimp cocktail and calypso music.
Yes, so we have the dinner party scene where they all sing Deo.
My favorite scene.
Your favorite scene, you say?
I love this scene. Yes.
It's good. I hate this kind of shit, but
I know you do.
I like it.
But at least it's a demon possession or some sort of possession. And they all talk about it after, right? It's not like it just happened and then it's like, well, that was normal. But they have conversation about how abnormal it was.
It's quirky. They're not being quirky to be quirky. They're not doing anything by
And
choice.
all of them are like horrified the way you would be if your body just started dancing.
Yes, and they play it like that. They're both amused and horrified. And
right.
I just like these actors are working really hard.
Oh boy, are they.
And I also like that like this isn't teased at all. It comes out of nowhere. You don't actually, other than Geena Davis saying like, "I've got an idea." And then a lot of time passes and then this happens. There's no like, they're not cutting away to the Maitlands to show them doing this.
Boy, would that make it bad. Like them, like they're pulling string. And in fact, they can't even quite explain how the Maitlands would even have the ability to do this. But Tim Burton almost didn't keep the scene in because he thought it wasn't funny enough. But it's like, if you ask anybody who loves this movie,
it's the scene.
This is, if not the most iconic one of them.
In my memory, I would have said Beetlejuice does this.
Yeah.
That's him doing this.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that can do elaborate things.
Like you said, they like this. They see a business opportunity. Come to our house and enjoy getting possessed by ghosts. And they keep wanting to, they keep wanting the Maitlands to just come out and talk to them, but they won't.
But like how also so focused in their own little bubble. Like how this wouldn't become a scene of just millions of religious people like trying to shut it down and make it to where people can't visit it because it's clearly demon possession. Like this would not work as a freaking amusement area. It'd be shut down immediately or bombed or something.
It'd be bombed.
I mean,
The health inspector would have something. Yeah.
the Hillsboro Baptist folks would be like, no, no. I mean, it's a square city. Just them. Well, they wouldn't have any power.
No,
The
that's
people
true. I
live
mean,
there.
hey, in my hometown of Mandeville, Louisiana, last weekend there was a 3-day convention of the paranormal. So it was, like a ghost and spooky haunted conference. And it's all in good fun, but they have like people coming and talking about how they're haunted and that kind of bullshit. But
Right.
yeah, local churchy people had to protest it and, contact the sponsors and say, you're inviting Satan into our beloved town.
Right. I mean, that is such a small scale thing. This is actual. Anyone that pays enough money can come in here and get possessed by a demon and do the calypso. And then walk home. And they'll be fired, then leave.
It is funny. It's like the King Kong thing. Like, we discovered King Kong, a giant gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do? Let's put him on Broadway.
Right. Right. Not what
What
are
scientific marvels?
Right.
Yeah.
And what does this mean for the rest of wildlife? Are we going to be overrun by animals because they're allowed to get this big now?
The Dietzes want the Maitlands to come out and play, but they won't. They won't do it. So
All right.
it's like, that's the dilemma.
But for some reason now Beetlejuice can show up on his own.
I wrote this down too, because
Yeah.
then he comes out as a worm. So who makes him come out
He's
right
a
here?
snake.
A snake, whatever. And a very good looking puppet.
Well, I think he makes a comment like clearly he needs to take this into his own hands. Like he uses this is Barbara and Adam's attempt at scaring them away. What it does is thrills them. So then he says something like, "Let me show you how it's done," or whatever. And so then he just kind of goes wild. But I guess he's already been released because they said the name 3 times. I don't understand.
They said the name 3 times and then went into his model.
I know that and said it 3 times again and it came out. But I'm wondering if it only takes 3 times for him to have access. And whatever.
Because then Barbara runs out and intervenes because now Beetlejuice is targeting Lydia. She's like, don't touch my little girl. Beetlejuice. And he goes back. Now Beetlejuice is fixated on Lydia. He's obsessed with her. And then we go back for another meeting with Juno, and it seems like maybe she's pulling everybody's strings.
How?
In the stage show, and I guess I got poisoned by this, she turns out to be the villain of the whole thing.
Oh, I really
And
like
she's
her.
Beetlejuice's mom. And the stage show ends with Beetlejuice riding the sandworm to eat her,
Okay.
to save Lydia. I just thought that, she basically says like, okay, you guys have to go get all the proof that life after death exists. You have to go get it back because they stole the handbook for the recently deceased and they have photos of you in sheets. So our whole operation is threatened. Juno's played by Sylvia Sidney. Let's just mention that. She's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Lydia is writing a suicide note. She's going to kill herself. Why is she going to kill herself?
Well, because she was hoping to be able to at least help Barbara and Adam, and instead her parents took this and perverted it as well. Is now making them. She realizes or thinks that she cannot. She just will never see eye to eye with her mom and her stepdad. No, her dad and stepmom, and therefore needs to die so she can be with Barbara and Adam or with her mom or whoever she feels like anyone that would understand her is already dead.
Okay. The Maitlands, they get transformed into monsters, but then quickly decide we don't want to be monsters.
They transform themselves to show what they've got, to show they know how to look spooky in the afterlife.
They get transformed by themselves. Sorry.
I'm just saying, no one put them under. They're in complete control of making their faces look like that.
Mm-hmm.
His nose is in her giant mouth.
Again, we've seen her interact with Lydia for
Fine.
one scene.
It works for me.
It works for me too.
Can I just say about
But
the
I feel
puppets?
dumb for it working. Yes.
Can you call those puppets? What's happening right there? I guess they're not being puppeted. But this plus also the head of Beetlejuice on the snake, something that's so effective about these, and it's why they're gross, is how they make wet things look wet.
Mm-hmm.
The shininess on the tongue, the shininess around Beetlejuice's gums and teeth. It's like, ugh, that I can feel.
Wetness is hard to computer animate. But hey, you can just wet a real object and film it.
Well, these things aren't actually wet though. These they're paint. There's a something they painted on to make it glisten like that.
Well, glistening, you can glisten an object and film it.
Reflection is very hard in animation. Reflection and anything with a.
Guarantee the Beetlejuice sequel is going to look 10 times worse than this.
Oh, you don't think they're going to continue using practical stuff?
I think I always say that and they never do it.
But Tim Burton said he's going back to his basics.
I know he said that.
Well, he's down when I'm not.
He made Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Damn it. That would have been
fault.
So much more charming with just puppet faces.
Yes, it is. You know what? It is Tim Burton's. If you want to hate Tim Burton, that's the reason is he made Alice in Wonderland. It's the worst movie I've ever seen. And it was such a big hit. And it's why The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and every goddamn Disney movie gets a live action remake.
Okay. I'm mad.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they have the seance conducted by Otho because he's a practitioner of the dark arts.
Naturally.
But
paranormal, whatever.
But he's not that good at it and he loses control.
Wait. I'd say the fact that he was able to conjure them out of thin air is pretty good start.
That's impressive. It's a good start, but he doesn't have the follow through.
He's
and
just
Charles is like, stop it. And he's like, I can't, Charles. I can't do it.
Just reading a book.
This is the most disturbing thing in the movie because it gets Barbara and Adam. Suddenly they're a bride and groom, but they're aging and they're turning into weird skeleton people.
They're killing the dead. They're double killing.
Yeah, they mentioned there's like another realm where you can die if you're dead and you go there.
Right, lost souls.
A void. Yeah, so that's where they're gonna go.
Ursula's garden. You can die a worse death than a death.
Your jaw is falling off. Your parts are falling off. They're not
right. And
I don't belong to me anymore.
Still an animated object. You still live in its brain, but you're being controlled by something else.
Mm-hmm.
Even more powerless than you were in the original Afterlife.
Yeah. So finally it's time. We're going to finally see what happens when you summon Beetlejuice. Oh my God. Are we prepared?
We are?
We're not prepared.
Okay.
Is this the first time we see Beetlejuice in his striped costume?
God, is it? Yeah. And it's the costume.
It is. Costumes by Aggie Rogers.
Good job, Aggie.
But so what happens when he gets unleashed?
I don't
Because it's Lydia who says Beetlejuice 3 times and then he comes.
But what is she trying to prevent?
She's trying to stop the seance.
Right. She just needs another dead person who might know how to do something. And she's right. For some reason, they go back to themselves. I don't understand it. I didn't even try to track it. I am at a disadvantage for having seen it so many times. I completely just fill in the blank.
I went insane doing this. Because of this happens. Because of that, this happens.
Yeah. Why is he a carousel? Why is he got crazy squid hands? I mean, it's all very cool.
Yeah, he comes out of the table with a mobile on his head, and he has the little spiral arms that unfold. And I wrote down, this is like Pixar teasing its future movies, because this is Tim Burton saying, this is what I'm doing next, because he has bad ears, like Batman.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
He has the umbrella carousel, or the umbrella mobile thing, and then his arms open up like the mountain in Nightmare.
Well, I mean, just in general, Tim Burton's very infatuated with swirls. This whole time, I thought this like fly thing was a decoration on your PowerPoint. Now I'm realizing there's just a dead fly attached to your computer monitor.
Where?
It's like, what an interesting little decoration you decided to do that's Beetlejuice-esque. I mean, where?
And they're going back and forth. They like it? No, they don't like it. Oh no, it's scary. And
well, because that's what they want, right? They want an attraction that's got crazy shit. And they're like, yeah, do that kind of crazy shit.
But I didn't want this.
Oh, wait, it's the kind of crazy shit it's the Natural Museum or History of Greed or whatever he just said. So it's like, look, and that's how he convinces the Dietzes that they don't actually, this is the logical conclusion for the lifestyle you're living. Is this what you want?
What is this journey? You mentioned that the Dietzes seem to like be reformed here.
They are reformed. They stay in the house. The house goes back to looking like it did. Delia becomes inspired again and starts creating art inspired by Beetlejuice. The dad finally has his country rustic home, but they're kind of separate. And the new mom and dad are really the Maitlands for Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
They're all content.
Delia hugs her. She now wants to save her daughter, even though she doesn't like her. guess I was hoping for more of a, let's see more warmth. As a step parent, I like positive step parent representation.
This was far too
in
soon for
media.
such things.
I suppose.
Mm.
So Beetlejuice is going to marry Lydia, and this is the big climax of the movie. How are we going to stop the wedding from happening?
Sandworm.
Well, first they try to say his name 3 times. I imagine this drives every child watching the movie insane because people just won't say his name. He'll like,
Wait, does the same person have to say it 3 times? Is this why Jinx was created? Because kids wanted the power back? What the fuck?
and it needs to be a 1-syllable word, very easy to get out.
Right.
Yeah, because one person will say it and be like, oh, don't say that. And then,
See,
knock them away, and then they'll just not say it again.
that implies that more than one person could say, like 3 people can say it one time and it'll do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know.
Well, yeah, it must be because he stops. One person says that he stops them. The other person says that he stops them.
So it needs the whole word didn't come out. Is what you're saying.
It doesn't have to be the same person saying it.
Got it. Well, wait. You're going to stop the person whether they get it out of their mouth 1 time or 2 times, because if they get it once, they're, a third of the way there.
I guess.
It's fine. This is stupid.
Yeah, it's not even how they stop him. They stop him by eating him by having a sandworm eat him. And that's, we're all
Yeah. Saying his name 3 times seems to just be a minor inconvenience. It's like putting him in his room and then he just comes out the room. And he's like, I don't want to be up there.
Yeah. But that's it. Now we jump ahead in time, and Lydia, you said she's no longer, she's still a goth. She is not. She is now being a normal person.
Excuse you. I would invite you to please go look at the other girls that come out of that school that she came out of. None of them have this.
She's a little more eccentric.
She has a black sweater instead of a blue one. She has a crazy black petticoat thing underneath. She's got all black stockings and black shoes, and she still has her weird bangs. Yeah, she's supposed to have assimilated a bit, but she's still her. Eat shit. She's not a normie.
I'd like to hear what people think about this. I mean,
Great.
yes, she's still got it a little bit, but she's mostly assimilated.
Well, good for her. She got her sillies out.
I'm not casting judgment on the lady. I'm
You're
saying
just on me.
no, I'm just saying, why does she have to act like a, why does she have to fit in now?
I don't think dancing with dead football players is that much of like a trend. So
Not
I'd say
that.
she's not fitting in.
No, but at school,
okay, so she was always trying to signal her otherness. Now she lives at a house with dead people. She already has proven it to herself that she's another, that she no longer needs to like signal. Because, I mean, most of the reason we dress the way we do is because we're trying to prove something to our own selves. She lives and dances with dead people. She just
so
looks
now she can be
different now.
normal.
Yeah.
All right. And here's my final question. She
Mhm.
gets she gets an A and a C, and her reward is, please let me dance.
Oh, fuck yeah. And float. Well, they do
I
it.
mean, the floating's fun.
They're using their special dead people powers to make her float. I'll bet they don't want to do that a lot because, tumors.
It seems like doesn't seem like that great a reward.
Fucking,
Please
it's
do it.
it's a reward to
Please.
me. I enjoy it.
I am allergic to endings like this.
Yes, you are.
I hate dance numbers to end a movie. This is okay. I still think the football players coming back is a little Mad Libsy, but at least they exist in the reality of this film. But that's that.
All right.